Hello, this is the Pennsylvania Forward Party's general meeting for April 2026. We have a lot of things to go over this week or this month. We have a few guests, and I'm going to get started right away with that. Uh, our first guest will be Chris Gambino. He is running for the Pennsylvania House, and we have recently endorsed his run. Uh, Chris, if you're able to talk, please tell us more about yourself and your race.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks, Ben. I am running as a Ford Independent for Pennsylvania's 143rd Legislative District. It is in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It actually spans three different school districts. So part of the district has students that feed into Central Bucks School District, part of it feeds into Penridge School District, and part of it feeds into Palisade School District, which is pretty unique in terms of landscape. I'm really excited. We've had a uh, three cycle incumbent Republican, and she's done some things, but ultimately has not been very effective in Harrisburg. And that's one of the rationales for stepping up is that I firmly believe representatives should be heading to Harrisburg to benefit their communities and the people in the district. And with a 14% pass rating of anything prime sponsored or co-sponsored, I think we can do better. And then I think also one of the really exciting things that am stepping up to do and that I am excited about the Forward Party being a part of and the endorsement is really these three pillars that y'all stand on. Specifically, I've noted it in a lot of conversations I've had, but the free people pillar, y'all have articulated and put in writing something that very few other people have in terms of the positive aspect of freedom and liberty, which is really to get the barriers out of the way so people can live into their full potential. And so that is one of the biggest things from a policy perspective I'm excited to bring forward is really making sure education, healthcare, access to food, all these things are available so that people don't have to toil in all the mundane, and can live into their true abilities, their true gifts, giftings, and skill sets to really thrive. So that's something I'm excited about. Happy to answer any questions, talk a little bit more about the district, talk more about myself, whatever y'all prefer for the statewide call.
Zach,
Hi. Thanks for being here, Chris. I had a question. What kind of got you into the Ford Party?
Yeah, I think partly what I just mentioned. So when I started thinking about this and had been recruited for about two cycles, I was really looking to step into something. I've always been a registered independent, depending on what state I lived in and what their kind of process was for that. So right now, a non-affiliated voter in Pennsylvania, the Ford Party in particular, that free people pillar, and then both other pillars, vibrant democracy, thriving communities. These things are really what I think most people agree on. Obviously, there's nuance that gets to where people kind of start splitting and factioning off. But I think the Ford Party brought me in on those three pillars, as well as a couple of things that were just frustrating in the way that the two parties have operated and kind of the institution, the establishment of the two party system. And so I am excited about being both independent and strongly believe in independent and allowing voters to be that, but also with a lot of the third parties and minor parties being able to really kind of create momentum, create conditions, and give people something that they don't have. And so that ability and what Ford's working towards about open primaries, election reform from a ranked choice voting standpoint, fair districts, like I don't know. I mean, I do know who disagrees with all that, but it's baffling to me that people do disagree with all that. And obviously, it's because they want to hold on to power. And so I'm excited that Ford really wants to like get rid of that and redistribute that power back to people and to the communities.
Great response. Love your opinion about open primaries. Thank you.
Yep.
Joseph.
Hey, good afternoon. I got a question. What can the Ford Party in Pennsylvania do to reach more candidates, especially anybody considering running? Let them know that, Forward's here, and we're looking for people like you to run, for basically any elected office. But, what could we do to help get the word out about the Ford Party and to recruit candidates to run as forwardists?
I think that's a really good question. I don't know that there's any one answer. I think we're still, I mean, I think we're on the cusp of people really continuing to step away. I know Ford circulates a lot of the polling, a lot of the conversation around people moving to independent, becoming independents. I think from a Pennsylvania perspective, regardless if it's Ford, regardless if it's another third party, minor party, or if it's a non-affiliated voter, I think what's really hard, Joseph, is in the conversations that I have, the roles, the registration roles are very misleading, right? You've got so many registered Dems, so many registered Republicans, but when you start talking to people, you realize spouses in a household split those two parties so that they can access the primaries together. And if we were to have open primaries, I can all but guarantee we will see those roles reduce and you will see so many more registered third parties and or non-affiliated voters in the Commonwealth. But right now, because they want access, they want some say in what happens in November by being able to participate in the primaries, they split their votes between the two major parties so that they can have quote unquote that say. So I think the first thing is if that, and I get that your question was about candidacy, but I think the same thing goes with the voter block. And so for people to be intrigued about becoming a Fortis or any third party candidate, I think there needs to be a easier sell and a path for them to succeed. And that means there's more voters that can be a part of that process in the front end. Because right now, when it comes to signature gathering and getting candidate buy-in from the voters in the districts, it's a little bit more difficult because there is no big voter block. There is no easy way to reach out to these voters because no one is necessarily registered, these third parties, right? They're harder to find. Whereas if we can get more people to pull away from the two major parties and register other ways, then we could be able to kind of build that momentum towards candidacy because they can see a viable option there. So I think it's kind of like twofold, but I do think the open primaries is like a big key to the conversation to make third parties, minor parties like a lot more viable, both from voter block and candidacy.
Excellent. Thanks. Good insight.
Rachel.
Yeah, hi Chris, good to see you. I have a question. I was hoping maybe for those who don't know you as well, could talk a little bit about your background, like your education and what you do have done for work, and how that sort of applies to where you are in Bucks County, with sort of being a collar, but also rural county.
Yeah, fair question. So the long and short of it is that I have a pretty extensive background, a scientific background, but focused on food and agriculture and environment. And so I came to Bucks County. I was born and raised in Montgomery County. Came back to Bucks County after a lot of schooling to be a professor at Delaware Valley University in the animal science program, as well as teaching in the graduate program food and agriculture policy course. And so my passion area, my expertise is in the food system realm and in agriculture, which relates really well to Bucks County being a big farming population. There's some rural pockets. Uh, we I guess I can say this. We just lost a dairy. He about a month and a half ago sold all his cows, is getting out of it, piecemealing and selling off pieces of his property. Um, and his sons are still in farming, but they're just in different aspects of farming. And so those are some of the big issues that we're seeing here. And yet those people feel unheard. And so that's part of it is giving them space. They've got great ideas, giving them space to bring those innovations, bringing those ideas, and then connecting that to others in the community, because we're all trying to work towards the same thing. We're all just trying to work to be a thriving community, right? And exist and be vibrant and be able to pull in a wage and support our families. And so my background in food and agriculture, I think, directly relates to a lot of the concerns of what people see here, that, you know, their land's getting bought up, their land's getting taken, they're not compensated for the products they produce, um, and and they recognize it, but I don't think a lot of other people recognize how much policy impacts them and their livelihood on a daily basis, and how much government, especially from a state level, the Commonwealth, plays into what happens on farms and on land. And so access to land's a big issue. Making sure we maintain working lanes, ag security zones. I'm going to say this, and maybe this is going to get posted elsewhere, which is, for better or worse, I don't know. It's like a political landmine is Act 319 across the state, the Clean and Green Act. So it was created essentially to allow for someone who has more than 10 acres to get a tax reduction on their land. And a lot of farmers utilize that, but then also there's people utilizing it that may not be farming and having working land. And so I don't know that I have a solution for it, but I do know people care about it, on both sides. Landowners that are farming and landowners that are getting the tax credit and maybe not farming. And so that is something that people need to be talking about. We need to get those people into a room to have a conversation. And there's very few people in my mind that want to facilitate those kind of dialogues. And for me, I think a representative should be the person helping get those people in the room and getting those people talking and figure out, how do we create policy that benefits the entire community and get back to what it was supposed to do, right? It was created, in my understanding, back when the state had horses and needed to essentially be able to borrow land to feed their horses and take hay off of land, right? And so that was the trade-off. We'll give you a lesser tax burden so we can come and take your hay whenever we need it to feed our whole horse stock. That's no longer the case, right? So I think we just need to have conversations. And to me, I think I'm in a good position based on my background and being a part of facilitating a lot of these pretty heated conversations between aligning agricultural production and environmental outcomes. That is exactly what we need in this day and age, and particularly in this district.
Thanks. I think it's interesting. Like, I've learned a lot about Bucks County, and it's often seen, I compare it to Montgomery and like our suburb, but it's much more diverse than that. So that was a good explanation. Thanks.
Yep.
David.
Chris, in your campaign materials, I've seen occasional references to something called the Committee for Policy Choice. I've always been curious exactly what that is, and with all your recent talk about policy, I thought I'd give you a chance to speak about it if you're interested.
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm actually wearing the emblem on my quarter zip here that I've got on. So that started, and it's a bit on pause at the moment. So I'll just preface with that. But its goal is focused on policy choice. It's essentially got three things that it wants to do. The committee is set up to, one, educate and advocate around election reform issues. So a lot of what other organizations do. So we'll be partnering with Fair Districts. We'll be trying to collaborate, March on Harrisburg, with a lot of these organizations, open primaries, really focused on the election reform aspects, open primaries, ranked choice voting, and Fair Districts. Second, it wants to be able to support, so it's actually set up as a PAC, be able to support independent candidates that want to run on some of these issues in the Commonwealth. And then third, it is also educating people about what's happening with the two-party system and helping them understand that actually it's not that hard to change your party if you want to, and providing resources to show them how easy it is to do online, how to check your party registration, and things along those lines. So that's what it's set up to do. It's presently on pause as I'm devoting all these efforts to running, but it was set up to do that. And so regardless of what happens with the campaign, it's going to continue to do that work and be a force in that space.
Well, thank you for that answer. And I love how many of those goals aligned with the Forward Party's reform goals, open primaries, ranked choice voting, etc. So I'm glad we found one another.
Any other questions? Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Chris?
No, I don't think so. I think the one thing I will plug, and I don't know if it'll be a follow-up email along with this. I know we tried to get it out in the SEPA meeting, but I'd love to kind of recruit anyone close in the area that wants to help out with signature gathering. We're going to do a training on Wednesday, May 9th, a virtual training, and then really spread out and hit the ground on May 7th is Wednesday. Saturday, May 9th is when we're going to hit the ground. So I can send that PDF again. I know Robert had it, but I can get it to you, Ben, if that's something you're willing to email out as like a follow-up to this statewide call.
We'll do that. Moving on to our second guest, then. We are also joined by Rodney Jones. He is also a candidate for the PA House in District 99. Rodney, the floor is yours.
Great. Great. Thank you, Benjamin. Sorry, I'm a little scratchy with some bad allergies and apologize. Still working this evening. I'm actually in St. Louis this week doing some work. So anyway, I live in Eastern Lancaster County. The question that, or when someone says, "Oh, where do you live?" And you mention Pennsylvania, I usually say, "Have you ever been to Shady Maple?" Because I live very close to Shady Maple on top of the Welsh Mountain there. I've lived in Lancaster for 34 years. Have been involved in our community in so many different ways. I was a two-term board member. And before that, I was part of the strategic planning committee for the curriculum at Eastern Lancaster County School District. Was a scout leader for 10 years with our two sons. Participated in so many booster clubs for our daughters and our sons while they were in school. Active in our parish, so just have been involved in our community. I was a volunteer firefighter when I first moved there, and actually started the first quick response unit. And that area of Lancaster County is pretty rural. It sits right on the cusp between Chester County to the east. Downingtown would be the next big city. It's actually 18 miles from Reading to Lancaster City to Downingtown, right? And so takes a while to get emergency services out there. So helped the local fire department write some grants, get some funding, did some training for them, and started this quick response unit. And yeah, so I mean, that's it. We've raised our family there. I'm married. We have 4 children. Areas of concern for me that I'm passionate about, obviously healthcare, accessible healthcare, affordable healthcare, childcare, early childcare, early childhood development, and education, right? My wife is a learning support teacher. So this has always been a big part of our family. When I was on the school board, I was recruited by the Republican committee. I've been a Republican up until 2016. I was a registered Republican, and then I switched to independent after that. But interesting comments Chris made about the primary system we have. When I was being interviewed by the Republican committee, one of the questions they asked me was, oh, in whatever year, how come you changed your affiliation from Republican to Democrat, right? And I had to make a point of reminding them that their primary system was so archaic, it forces people that want to be involved to change their affiliation if they want to participate in a primary, right? Um, so it's pretty interesting. Anyway, so that's, that's my involvement in Lancaster. And yeah, that's it. Happy to take any questions.
What would you say to encourage people to get involved in local politics?
Yeah, so this is pretty easy conversation for me. I've always I mean, I just grew up with this, right? Our family was, if you're not active, if you're not part of a solution, then you're part of the problem, right? And so all of these conversations when people are just start, I can't believe X or this Y is ridiculous, then, my standard reply is, well, what would you do about it if you could make a change, right? So I've encouraged lots of people. We started, when I was on the school board, we started a foundation, the Spartan Foundation for Education, and it was to bring external, like a global view. Lancaster County is pretty isolated, right? And at the time, I had a global position, I had an international position, and we raised a lot of money in the beginning to launch this. And what it was for was teachers and students, if they wanted some international exposure to education, we would help facilitate that, right? If there was a cost associated to it. And so just recruiting people to be involved in that, to get on the board, to play a part in creating a broader picture, a bigger scope for what they typically see in Eastern Lancaster County. So I've recruited friends, family to be involved in, in the scouts in our parish, with the school, with the booster club. Interesting quick story. So one of our daughters wanted to play soccer. We know nothing about soccer. Take her one Saturday morning to sign up. There's 500 kids, and the soccer director says in front of everybody, I'm resigning today. If somebody doesn't take over the program, it's going to close, right? And so I put my hand up, know nothing about it, and ran the program, uh, the Garden Spot Youth Soccer League, for 3 years. But after my second year, I already started recruiting who my replacement was going to be. And so in year three, so they wouldn't be intimidated, I told them we would do it together, like joint program directors for that third year. And then the fourth year, they started on a good footing and prepared for success right away. And they ended up being a much better director than I was.
David.
I hope I didn't miss this when you were describing your political and personal history, but I'm curious, when exactly did you get the idea to run? And do you remember what that moment was like? What started you on the path to being in this race?
When did I decide to run for this race?
Right.
About 8 months ago, right? So I thought about going back to run on the school board, and I didn't want to do that again. And then I was wrapping up some career stuff, closing out a position, and I don't know, about 8 months ago, I've never been a big fan. David Zimmerman is the current incumbent. He's had this seat for 12 years. Actually, just went back a couple weeks ago and looked. I had written letters to the editor. He had been brought up on ethics violations early in his tenure, and I'd written several letters to the Lancaster New Era about him. And I've just been an antagonist in his side for 12 years, with articles and social media posts. And I started about a year ago. I moved from a career change from the commercial side. I just left my second business and came back to clinical position. And so I had time. I wasn't traveling internationally anymore. And I just, I told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to run against David Zimmerman. And she's like, giddy up, let's do it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's a good story.
Brian.
Uh, yes, Rodney, thanks for joining us. I was just wondering how you see, like, this is the biggest office that you've run for before, the campaign. How are you finding it? What are your plans? What challenges are you finding as like a first time candidate at this level?
Yeah, so the mechanics of it are, a bit challenging. There's lots of good resources. Like I said, I started several months ago and just started kind of like looking at the standard work that's required, the key dates that are required to, the amount of signatures. This is pretty interesting. I had thought that I had needed, close to 2,000 signatures. Chris had sent me an email with a much lower number. And then I just went to the Department of State and did this deep dive and found I can't quote the the section in the article, but a couple of years ago, I did forward it to Chris, but he probably already knew this in advance, where I didn't need that many signatures. I only needed like 580 or whatever. And then they actually had a printout. Then I went to another section of the Department of State and it downloaded every district and how many signatures I would need to collect. So anyway, the challenge is just learning this, right? I have to I didn't know, I say obviously now. A campaign manager and a treasurer. But I've already started collecting signatures. I don't know. I think I have 100 or something so far. I don't know. But I'll just do that and start, reading, looking for good resources. I don't know if any of you know Ethan Demi. He's a friend of mine. We do a lot of political watch parties at his house, on election nights. So he's been a great resource for me as well. Yeah. So, and then I just beg, borrow, and steal from anybody that's willing to teach me.
Great, thank you.
Do you have any plans for signature gathering on primary day?
On prime, what is that? May? When is that?
It's sometime in May. I forget the
Yeah.
exact date.
Probably it depends. Probably
19th.
not. May 19th.
I don't know, 12th or 19th, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on my calendar. I have a lot of travel in May, actually. Like I think 3 out of the 4 weeks in May, I'll be out of town.
Well, for both Chris and Rodney, that's you probably know that's a great day to collect signatures just because you can go to the line in the morning and get everyone in line that you all know that they live in your district and are registered voters. So that's a day that we really encourage people to get out and help.
Okay, May 19th.
Yeah, even if you can send somebody on your team or in your family, because like again, Brian said, they definitely vote in your district. Whereas last year, our biggest experience was with a statewide candidate. So we could all just go to our neighboring, polling place, or I guess it was 2 years ago. But it really has to be zeroed in on people who can vote for you. So it's something to think about and you can get a lot bang for your buck. Yeah.
Thanks. I did just print out the state voting roll, like for just the 99th district. Holy, it's like 500 pages, right? So I need to dump that into a searchable searchable table so I can maximize my time and effort.
Yeah, and I would encourage anybody on the call who is close to either Chris or Rodney's district to uh, get in touch with them and volunteer on primary day, because uh, more people that can help, the better. Uh, any other
Sure.
questions for Rodney? Do you have anything else you want to add, Rodney?
Yeah, just I want to say thank you first for the, the support I've already gotten and the tips and the direction. Um, Certainly making it a much easier starting point than having to, dig through all of this myself. So yeah, thanks so much.
You're welcome. With that, we will be getting to the slideshow for this month. We have come on. There we go. Okay. As a reminder, May 19th, as we were saying, our friend Ron Ruman is running in a special election, not too far from you guys in Lancaster, but uh, he is endorsed by the Pennsylvania Forward Party for both the special election and his general election bid this year. And we're supporting him in whatever way we can, especially for this special election. So if you live in the district, please remember to vote in on primary day, regardless of whether you are a registered Democrat or registered Republican. You are allowed to vote in uh, this special election, and hopefully Ron will come out victorious. We have an announcement. That is not,
Coach. My last name is Coach.
yeah. Sorry if I spelled it wrong. But
That's the right
Ro-
spelling.
okay. Robert, you are our new vice chair and secretary. Did you want to say anything?
Everyone, thanks for the shout out. Yeah, Robert Coach. It's my name. I was came to the call a little late. I was driving from DC, so it was quite a drive with some traffic and got caught up a little bit. I thought we'd be able to get here earlier, but unfortunately not. But I'm glad I caught some of the good stuff. So yeah, this is very exciting. Meet some of the candidates and you know, let's go primary day. And I guess Norma's not here, but maybe we can do a shout out to her article on the Inquirer. She had an open primaries thing. What do you think at some point? Um, unless you guys have seen it. Have you guys seen that article? I mean, apparently she's done many. So, but this is, I think it was very succinct and summarized it nicely. So thanks everyone.
Yeah.
We'll just do that at the Q&A part. How about that?
Yeah, Rachel.
Yeah, so thanks, Robert. I just wanted to say thanks on behalf of the rest of the team for stepping up into this role. We have shifted a few roles and we're grateful for it because they all take work and they all take time. Before this, we mentioned Ron Ruman and his special election on primary day, which I think is so interesting because again, we all think if we're not Democrat or Republican that we're locked out on primary day. And I just can't emphasize, I know we all can't vote in his district, but I just really think getting the messaging out that if you do live in this district, you have a vote on primary day, and it matters very much because it's not just who gets to the general, it's who goes to Harrisburg. And on that note, did you guys all see, or did you, I don't know if you had it on the agenda later, forward Democratic State Senator Lisa Boscola is proposing legislation. I don't know how likely it is to pass, but that all special elections be held on primary day to decrease the expense of additional taxpayer money. Now, again, will that hurt open primaries? Will that help open primaries? 'Cause that's one of the arguments. And also, what about a vacant seat that's far from the primary? I just think it's interesting, but I like to see people proposing ideas. And it's nice to see someone on our team out there at least pointing out the inefficiencies of the current program or the current way.
Yeah, I had forgotten to put that on the slideshow, but we will get on to it
Yep.
in the questions and answer.
Appreciate that, Rachel. I'm just trying to do my best to push along the process that you guys have so well have done. And let me know if there's anything else. That's a interesting photo for that one, but all right.
Yeah, I kind of put this together late and I did not have many photos of you.
I like that photo. Robert, you were
Okay.
what was this event you were at? You were
This was my friend John Stout, and he has a Christmas tree farm, and this is one of his famous 4th of Julys. So
and you were
so yeah,
collecting pictures. This was 2 years ago.
yeah. This is one of the 4th of Julys, and yeah, he has all sorts of people out there. So they try to keep it less politically charged, though. So I think they generally have people like the Polish. There's a Polish heritage festival that they do annually. So I've asked about Ford Party stuff, but that's a tough one. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you again, Robert, for stepping up for this position, and we look forward to working with you in this greater capacity.
Thanks again.
We are stepping up our convention planning pace. Our next planning meeting is this Wednesday at April 22nd at 8 p.m. If you haven't heard, we have a date and venue set for the convention. It will be July 18th, 2026 at King of Prussia. If you go to the event page, you can purchase a ticket for the event. We will be providing lunch, and that's part of the reason why uh, we are uh, collecting money for it. So we hope you can join us and make this a great event in July. So, did anybody have any thoughts on that?
I always have something to say. I'll just say that we have had two statewide conventions, and then we skipped a year, and now it's back. And I just can't say enough about getting together, a la Smerconish in the same room and talking it out. And even though that's aimed at people with differing ideas, I just think a lot of great ideas and relationships come out of it, and then you're more likely to show up to the next thing or come in person and do things. So I'm a big proponent of this once a year or once every other year get together. So if you can find your way to King of Prussia on July 18th, it's really worth the time. And we're really trying to put this, state party into turbo gear, and it takes everyone kind of getting on board and even like recruiting some friends and just talking about it. So I think it's a great day, and I hope to see as many of you there as possible.
Thank you. Speaking about get-togethers, we have one coming up this week. It's on next week on Tuesday in the southwest of Pennsylvania at the Cranberry Smiling Moose, not the one in the south side of Pittsburgh, but in Cranberry, Pennsylvania. So Brian is coming back home for a visit, and we're going to be meeting up with him, and hopefully we can get as many people together to talk about Ford and what our plans are for this year. So join us there. National also has several events coming up. Also on this Wednesday, but a little bit earlier than our convention planning meeting. At 6:15, there is a candidate outreach training program that Jake is putting on. On Saturday, May 2nd, the Asian American and Pacific Islander Committee is having another listening session at 2 p.m. I should
Although
note
I've
that.
heard that one's canceled because Keone's at a wedding, and
Oh,
I can't be there either because of yeah. So you'll have to check on that, but it's probably canceled.
okay. National Volunteer Call is on May 12th at 7:30 p.m. And another welcome team training is at 6:30 p.m. I encourage everyone to check out the public calendar at the website up here, right on the slide at the top. And hopefully you can join them for any of the upcoming events there, uh, barring the canceled May 2nd one. There are several committees, as always. We encourage members to get involved in these committees. The other day, the Women's Committee had a great call with Lisa Brackbill talking about her book. So they have great events and we encourage people to get involved and join these events. Did anybody want to talk about any other committees that they might be a part of? All right.
I guess for anyone who doesn't know, what is it, 6 or 7 or 8 committees now? I don't want to miss one, but there's a women's committee, Young Forwardists. Robert is on the leadership for the Asian American Pacific Islander. I hope I got that right. There's veterans and veterans families. There's Black voters. There's, I believe, Latina. I believe there's, yeah, Hispanic voters, I think it's called. What am I missing? But there are many. And so if that suits you or many of those suit you, that's another sort of point of access for you to get involved and have a Pennsylvania voice on the national stage and in national events. So it's really rewarding as well.
Yeah, with regards to the Veterans and Military Family Committee meeting, we're supposed to have a meeting this week, but it was pushed back to next week. They're starting a national initiative to reach out to all the vets and stuff and try and generate some activity there. So looking to start a pretty significant outreach effort here starting next week.
Thank you, Joe. Uh, I will always make a call for counting leads. It's a great opportunity to activate the Fortis in your county and recruit people to join the movement. And it's a great way to get involved in the Ford Party as well. So, and I want to thank the people who have already stepped up for county leads. I know a couple of you have joined us tonight, and I sincerely thank you for your efforts in that area. Fundraising, we are trying to do more in this area. If you want to, we have volunteer opportunities available. We are currently looking for a person to lead the fundraising efforts. It's a great opportunity if you want to put your efforts in that area as well. Oh, sorry. Our next meeting is not April 20th, it's in May. Actually, it will be May 18th. Sorry about that. Rachel.
So we've been looking for someone to help us with fundraising for quite some time, greater than a year, I believe. And when it comes to candidates and helping candidates and putting on events and growing the party, those things do take money, and it's not everyone's forte to ask for money, including my own, but there is a science or an art to fundraising. And so I just wanted to mention, if you have that skill set and be willing to help even on a temporary basis to just get some things in place, we'd really appreciate it. Or if you know anyone with that skill set who just wants to quietly in the background without even joining the forward party, on an unofficial basis, give us some guidance. It's just something we've really struggled to get off the ground in a consistent fashion. And especially if we are gaining momentum and doing more things, money being a limiting factor, we don't want it to be that. It's clearly not what we like to lead with, but we've really struggled in this area. I don't think anyone will be offended by that or surprised by that, those of us who've been around for a couple of years. So if anyone has some, rudimentary skills or knows somebody who might just charitably give us, some guidance, just send them our way. We'll take any help we can get, and maybe they'll stick around, maybe they won't, or maybe they know somebody. That's my pitch.
Yeah, and I would also mention that any type of position that we're asking for is a great resume builder also. So uh, being a counting lead or head of fundraising would be a great thing to put on a resume, and could lead to greater things for personal growth as well. It is open floor, and we did want to talk about the special election legislation that Lisa Buscola had put forth. Give me a second. Do you like seeing that?
Yeah, I didn't catch if there was any like bipartisan support or a co-sponsor. I didn't get a chance to dive into it, but I did catch her name. And, like I said, it could be great. It definitely draws attention to the conversation about the expense of having special elections. Again, there could be some downsides to them always being on primary day. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the bill. The primary sponsor is Lisa Buscola. Senator Fontana is also a co-sponsor with uh, two Republican senators signed on as well. So it is a bipartisan bill, and I like seeing that my own senator is a co-sponsor as well. So, uh, so I encourage you to look up, uh, see more of this bill, and get on the phone to your senators and support it. Did anybody have any thoughts on this that they want to share?
Is this is this similar to the Laughlin? There's a state senator from Erie, the Erie area, right in the Northwest, has a similar, some kind of open primaries.
This
And
is different than the open primaries one. We like both bills, but this one would be to hold special elections only on the primary day and election day in November, instead of having people remember an off Tuesday in the middle of February.
right.
It would be
Yeah,
standardized such that they're all on the two big voting days.
Right, that's like a tactic pretty popular with the Democrats and Republicans to they're basically assigning the next person to replace them by choosing that election day. I don't know. It's all right.
So
Yeah,
someone passes away or
that works.
resigns in June. You know what I mean? So my questions still remain. I want to read more about the bill. I like Lisa Buscola. I like bipartisanship. But before I blindly support something, I want to learn more about it and how it could impact our ultimate goals. I'm not saying I'm not for it. But then what happens, and some of you folks may know this, is that the governor or the House leader, who sits in that seat, or it just sits empty then? That's a lot of time.
Yeah, right now what happens is the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House has some leeway on how there is a time limit on which they must hold a special election, but they get to decide if it's going to be a quick turnaround to have a special election, or they can hold off till the last day and when they're forced to hold an election. So this would remove the possibility of shenanigans and that uh you know manipulation as well. So it, I personally support this one because it would give people a lot more clarity on when these things happen. Like I recently we had a special election in Pittsburgh, and I know my friend lives in that district, and I'm not sure if he even realized there was an election in mid mid February, even though I told him a couple of times. But yeah, did anybody have other thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say one of the things that I would be concerned about is, the length of the vacancy. If it's, an extended period of time, the folks that that position would represent are not being represented. So, is that fair to them? If somebody, no one's voting for their interests or protecting their interests. So, it's like Rachel said, need to look at the bill and actually see what it says. And, a lot of stuff, by the first, executive summary, it sounds great, but then you start digging into the details and you find out it could actually have the opposite impact of what you think it would. So, really need to look at it and dig into it to, figure out what, whether we really want to support it or not.
Yep. Brian.
Yeah, so the other way that places resolve this issue is that they make it a rule that you can't run for a higher office while holding a lower office. And because a big part of the problem is that people run for, people in state house are also running for other positions like attorney general or something. So as soon as the elections happen in November, then they take the higher office and they resign their state house seat. So now we just had an election and there are seats empty that have to have a special election. That happens all the time. So like I would have the concerns that Rachel is mentioning. I think that someone, it's November, the election just happened, they resign their seats and they don't fill that seat until May. It's 6 months, that's a long time. But like everyone's saying, we got to read the bill and hear why. Let everyone say why they.
It does seem kind of like counterintuitive in a certain sense, because the continuity kind of helps the government move forward, and you kind of want like at least someone there to like make sure you pay the bills, the lights are on and stuff. But like I think, for instance, in the Texas race was Crockett versus Pasco or something. Yeah, so Crockett's pastor ran for her vacant seat when she went to run for Congress or the Senate. But the idea is that because she lost, they're just going to hold a special election so Crockett can jump back to her previous congressional seat without too much of a problem. And then it's kind of like, yeah, and we might need to read in a little bit more about. But you know what we're all for is open primaries, and the people we know, like in that article. If you want to look at our Facebook with Norma Van Dyke, she shared this article, and the open primaries are, they're trying to push a bill just like the Rachel's other bill with ballot PA. You know, we're all
That's a
for that one for sure. Right?
But yeah, it's a letter to the editor, I think, or what do you call it, an op-ed or something Norma wrote. She's written a few. Yeah, she's in the Philly region.
Yeah,
She's a good writer. I don't have a screenshot of it, but it talks about open primaries, if that's what you're getting at.
yeah. This is nice and succinct, though. If people
It
can
is
look at
something
it.
that all of
Yeah.
us can also do. Again, you can write it in the middle of the night and you can submit it. So to your local papers and things, talking about candidates, talking about the need for better representation, talking about the duopoly, talking about whatever is relevant in your community. So when we think about these people who are stepping up and running, like what are we doing underneath to support them and getting things in the news and things like that. So there still are some small papers and it goes online and then we share it and amplify it. So there's something that literally everyone on this call, who hears something that like, oh, I could do that, I could write that. We're all happy to help. Most of us have done something like that in the past, can proofread it or give you advice, but more voices, me sending a bunch is not as worthwhile and likely to be published as, everybody sending. And we all live in different parts of the state. So just a plug for that. Free media.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it gets tricky with the paywalls. I'm not sure if some of the smaller papers do or don't have that, but the Inquirer, you have to like gift it or something. You can't always click on it, but I have mine the same way. Screenshot of the old newspaper.
yeah, yeah, and I think they even set it up so that we can't even share this post, but we can always direct people to the post Pennsylvania Ford made. And
I like it. It's tangible and vintage.
yeah, so
I used to pay for an Inquirer. Now that I have Apple News, it kind of it was difficult to do that, but clearly it doesn't have all of the Daily Inquirer articles. So I guess that's how it is.
and I would encourage you and anybody else to support their local newspapers in any way they can, because they're not, it's a very hard business for them out there. And a lot of them have unfortunately gone under over the past few years. On that note, uh, for those in the Southwest, the Post Gazette got bought out by a nonprofit, so we're not losing the Post Gazette after all. Uh, so, but other than that, did anybody else have any comments, concerns, topics they wanted to bring up? All right. And
I'm sorry, I would really like to chime in on the idea of primary day and getting signatures.
sure.
And the idea that I have around that is when you sign this, you're not actually endorsing the candidate, you're endorsing another conversation in this space. So I find that when people ask me to sign a petition, I am personally feeling like, oh, I'm obligated to this now. And having some kind of spiel or speech when we're going to market this idea just to get somebody on the ballot does not actually mean commitment.
That's a great point, Stephen. So having done it a couple of times, I will say by no means means you're committing to vote for them, but it means you believe they have, helping support them with their right to run or their option to run, getting more people on the ballot, having more choices. You're just signing to agree with for more choices or something like that. We also mentioned they won't get any mail because it does ask them their address. So we say this will go, straight to the voter commission. We don't send you anything in the mail, even though we sometimes think it's an opportunity to get more names, but that's a negative. So we won't send you anything. We won't be reaching out. We just really appreciate you supporting this effort to get more choices for your community.
Yeah, and for
Correct. I
anybody,
agree with that exact statement. And that's like, how can we get people that are going to be at the polling station to ask for that, to get that right verbiage so people aren't going to end up signing up for a Home Depot card and get 7,000 emails a day and make sure that they feel comfortable with it.
So I can speak for Chris, and what we've done in other candidacies is having a little quick, like 20-minute Zoom meeting, like a couple days before, for people who have said, I'm willing to do this. And so we could do that at the state level. We could do it in primary days, the same for everyone, versus when we go out for a specific, signature gathering event, it could be on any day. So we've tried to get ahead of that with the people who are really going to do it. So I think just communicating back to us or the candidate that you want to help, you'll get the training.
yeah, and I would also encourage anybody who is thinking about that to go back and review our video from our last convention where Christian gave a tremendous uh, presentation on collecting signatures, and I try to promote that video as much as possible because our friend Peter Knight did a great job recording it, and it's a high quality video on a very important topic. So I encourage anybody looking to collect signatures to review it.
Yeah, maybe we can share that out again. Our convention, though after primary day, is still within the window for collecting signatures, but maybe we can do it, even show it or clips of it on the next statewide call. Remember that if you're collecting signatures, you have to coordinate with the candidate because you need the right papers. So there is not like someone's just going to wake up primary day and say, I'm going to collect signatures. You have to have the right paper. You have to know how it's oriented. You have to know some pitfalls for like things that will get disqualified. So we have a very concise bullet points and conversation of how to stay out of trouble and be successful. So definitely reach out to any of us or the state party or the candidate directly because you do need to get the right papers. So no one's really just going to wake up and go.
Yeah. With that, till we see you again, not left, not right, forward, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube video. It helps the algorithm promote the Ford Party. So with that, we can go watch the tail end of the Penguins and Flyers hockey game, and hopefully the Penguin. Or I'm not going to. I
Thanks,
should not
Ben.
not
Have a
talk
good
about
night,
that.
everyone.
Right. Have a good night.
Thanks, Ben.
Good